Morning. Well, I think we're just about on time, right on the dot. So we'll just give me another minute or so just to let folks kind of trickle in for the webinar today. Really excited about the opportunity to share with you guys a little bit what's happening at Lightspeed and StopIt. For those of you who have probably joined us today that are very familiar with StopIt, but it's a great opportunity for us to share a lot of really wonderful information that we've been able to gather and some really great partnerships within the state with StopIt and also with the South Carolina Department of Ed. So we're going to go over some questions around that today and have a little bit more certainty on what's happening. So here at Lightspeed Systems, we'll kind of start maybe some introductions and who are we and what are we doing here and who's speaking today. So about what's happening in South Carolina, what do we need to know about student safety? What are some of the offerings that we have out here to help provide districts some more visibility and protecting their students, protecting their districts? And so today, my name is Scott Meeks. I'm one of the senior directors and strategic account managers for Lightspeed. And I'll let Matt kind of introduce himself, Matthew Toth.
Thank you very much, Scott. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Matthew Toth, and I'm a strategic account executive here for Lightspeed, really focusing on the StopIt program, and happy to be with you all this morning.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for being here with us, Matt. So I've been with Lightspeed for, going on about 15 years or so and seen a lot of evolution in the solutions, and student safety has become such an important aspect of what's going on. And as we've seen through COVID and through so many other things, the mental health of our students has become such a big priority for districts and not only districts, but parents and alike, and myself being one of a high school age student. So it's always on the top of my mind as well. So today on this little short webinar, it's only going to be about 30 minutes, and we want to make it really kind of high level and informative, and then we'll have an opportunity at the end here to have a little bit of Q&A, and then also we want to be able to talk about your opportunity to maybe schedule a full demo for you to be able to see. We'll have a QR code that links us to a scheduling page. But today for the agenda, we're going to talk about first up and get this right on the table, the funding. So I know that we've hearing this from districts all over the nation. You know, budgets have become very, very challenging post-COVID ESSER CARES Act monies. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the South Carolina Department of Education reimbursement for student safety monitoring solutions. Matthew is going to go through a little bit about StopIt and the SCISBIT funding eligibility. And we're going to just start there, because I think for a lot of you joining, the question is, okay, I'm interested, but budgets are tight, and what help is there for us to bring these type of solutions in place? And what's wonderful about this is that there are opportunities to do that. And so Lightspeed, and then we're going to go into really kind of our solutions, the proactive student safety solutions that we are providing, starting with StopIt, and then we're going to do a quick kind of just high level about Lightspeed Alert. If you haven't seen it, what differentiates it from other solutions out there in the space. And then, you know, if we have some time at the end here, we're going to be able to go through and answer some questions. So starting with the funding, I'm going to start here and just kind of fill you in on some certainty that I've had with the Department of Education. So reimbursements for student safety solutions, obviously Lightspeed being a part of that, there were some questions surrounding this in the beginning of the year. But the reimbursement from the state is going to be $2.25 per licensing. So depending on, you know, your solutions that you may have in place that you're maybe looking to replace over budget issues, or if you don't have something at all, starting with on the student safety monitoring side. So this would be the proactive solutions that are on the devices that we can see what those students are doing and notify and also alert those districts at different levels. The reimbursement is going to be $2.25 per license. So, and we'll talk a little bit about pricing here at the end on the Lightspeed side for alert and the human review element. So, and Matt, if you kind of want to go over what the SCISBIT information and how that's done.
Absolutely. StopIt has had a long history of partnership with SCISBIT. So if you are an insured member of the South Carolina School Board's Insurance Trust, the StopIt platform that I'll review with you today is a fully funded $0 opportunity. the insurance trust does fund that program in full for all of its insured members. Now, if you're not an insured member, that's okay. We can definitely work out some discounted pricing, I'm sure, for you, just as a great relationship in the state. But we just kind of coming here with the fact that if you are fully insured under SCISBIT, that this is a $0 program for you.
Well, that's a good number. I think it's the number everybody likes the most. That is how can you help us get it in place? And really, this is a very unique opportunity. And for those of you that leverage it, I'm sure you've seen the value. If not, why not? This is a really great solution as far as what we're able to do and how it notifies, and just so much to it. So with these two solutions, we're going to go over the differentiation between Lightspeed Alert Online Student Safety Monitoring Solution and the anonymous reporting system that is StopIt. So in Lightspeed, really what we're looking at here, and we'll go over some nuances of really how this works and some of the really core values and the core value propositions in Lightspeed. But this is Lightspeed is an on-device notifying solution. So whether it be your Windows devices, Chrome devices, Mac OS devices, we can also do it on an iPad. There's a caveat with the iPads, though, with how that technology is deployed on an iPad, that it would require you to be a filtering customer. So if you are on the call today and you are a filtering customer and you have iPads, it's a very easy transition to add the solution. If you have iPads, a big iPad district, and don't currently have a solution like this, it would really kind of start a conversation of what would that look like if we had our filtering and both of those things working together. And then on the, Matt, I'll let you kind of just talk about high level real quick on the anonymous reporting for StopIt.
Absolutely. And the StopIt program really focuses on allowing your students to let you know early and often what's happening in their lives. So, as Scott mentioned, kind of the alert product on device, this really helps to capture those things that are happening off devices that you're monitoring, right? So those conversations on the bus, in the gym, on social media platforms, kind of other places that's going on, as well as third person. So allowing somebody else to step up in a situation where, one of their friends is either in trouble, whether that's mental health issues or school safety issues. So really focusing on giving students multiple channels to be able to report something in anonymously to the school. That could be via mobile app on their phones. That can be pushed out to Chromebooks or iPads as well. We do have web versions and a few different ways to access.
Yeah, and I think this is such an important element when districts are really kind of looking at the mental health state of their students. And a lot of the questions come up as well. Yes, I can monitor my devices, what's happening on my my district-owned assets, right, that I'm managing and I'm working. But a lot of the questions comes around is, how do I help interact with other students? When they're on their phones, or people are, kids are they're digital natives, and they're so less apt to kind of come and talk to somebody face to face, about issues or things that they have seen. And so, Matt, with the tip line, I mean, that's really the core of what that's looking to accomplish, is that out of the realm of the IT department of the school and what they're monitoring, really gives them an opportunity to kind of talk about what they're seeing, or even have their own mental health and all of that. That's really what these two solutions working together becomes so powerful and insightful about that. And so, speaking of which, earlier this week, we had a really wonderful webinar from one of our partnering school districts in Rosedale Union School District. They're in California. And really great hour-long webinar. They use both the alert solution and the StopIt solution, and they go into some really great detail about their personal experiences, how they rolled this out, how they got buy-in from their districts, how they address that with their parent community. It really goes over. It's a wonderful piece with 3 administrators from that school on the student safety side. And if you have an opportunity and you kind of want to just hear a personal experience from a district that's leveraging those, I encourage you just to take a screenshot of this QR code and watch this recording of this webinar. It's super insightful, and just hearing their experiences, because I think there's a lot of questions. Student safety solutions have a lot of questions around, how do we get this deployed? Who's responsible for it? How do we set up that action plan? How do we have those escalation lists? And they really do a great job. So I encourage you to take a look at this for further reference. But let's kind of just start with the numbers of what we have, the success that we're having in the state. And Matt, maybe talk a little bit about, just some of this information here. As StopIt has been a longtime partner, beyond, it's not brand new. So why don't you kind of just talk a little bit about what that footprint looks like and what kind of impact are we having?
Absolutely. So we've had a great relationship with Skizbit in the state of South Carolina now for over 8 years. We're in over 25, 27 districts now in the state currently. As you can see, equaling well over 400 schools. So hundreds of thousands of students covered through our program. We have some of the larger districts in the state all the way down to some of the smaller ones. This program really resonates well, both with the kind of urban, suburban, as well as those rural districts within the state as well. We've seen, well over 15,000 tips coming through our platform within the state. And of course, we're always monitoring, as I'll get into in just a little bit, but we've seen over 1,000 life-threatening tips coming through the platform. Last school year, I'm not sure if you saw the news, but we had an incident in one of your high schools using StopIt where a student reported that they overheard on the bus on the way home on a Wednesday night that a student Thursday morning was going to bring a gun into school. And they reported it through the StopIt program. The police and the SRO were ready for the student in the morning. Were able to pull the gun right out of the book bag while that student was walking into the school building that day. So again, our team is always kind of on, on the monitoring side of it, and we see those truly life-threatening incidents coming through in your neighbors, in your other school districts that are using our platform. So again, a long history here in the state of South Carolina, and we look forward to working with a lot of you on this call.
Yeah. I think how these both solutions work really is, there's a lot of concern about these kind of solutions and having them in place. And, but one of the things I've heard from districts over and over, even on this other webinar, is that if you have an opportunity to watch it, and just part of our conversations over the years is, as Lightspeed Alert has been out in the market for a good 4 or 5 years and really has a lot of miles under it and really learned a lot of things. And, one of the things is, at a district level, I think it's easy to be concerned about a lot of things outside of, deployment and escalation lists and how are we going to take care of that. But one of the things that was once said to me, I thought that made a lot of sense by a district when they were trying to make that decision. They're kind of waffling about what to do and whether or not they wanted to do something like this. And, ultimately their decision was to move forward and to put something like this in place, these kind of solutions. And the reason I asked them, what really was the tipping point that made that be your decision? I said, we have a lot of things in place, a lot of protocols and procedures and responses that we have once an incident happens, right? Whether that be a self-harm incident or a bullying incident or a potential threat of violence, or as Matt kind of told a story, a kid who decided to bring something to school. And he said, without any kind of proactive solution, the only thing we're ever doing is reacting. And he said, we are going to kind of push forward and know that we're going to have some things we're going to put in place. He said, because our ability to know and to have an opportunity to intervene before something happens is so much more critical than some of the concerns that we have about, how we're going to manage it or who's going to be responsible for it. Those are all things that need to be worked out in the process of deploying and implementing a solution like this. He says, otherwise, we are only ever responding once something has happened. And we really want to get out of that cycle. And so when we look at these two solutions, really, it's about awareness. Both what's happening on your devices. So, with our solutions and the way our agents work on the alert side, both the and the human review element, right? We're scanning, we're looking for those things. We're bringing to light those issues that the kids are revealing themselves digitally online. And so not only online, but with StopIt, but with just what they're typing into their devices. And we're going to go a little bit about the visibility, but also the review element and the 24/7 support and the in-house specialists that work for both of the organizations within Lightspeed, for the human review element, both for StopIt and for Alert, is that they become an extension of your team. And so there's a lot of value and benefit of that, what that provides, and it really de-escalating some of that workload, having someone who's proactively looking for risk and bringing that to you. Matt, and a little bit about your response times and your human review elements. Is it? I would think it's the same for you, right? This is such a critical part of having that response. Is did that message that that district said, is that kind of same thing that you hear and resonates with you and your customers?
It absolutely does. And that's one of the primary reasons why, insurance like Skizbit partners with StopIt is because of our 24/7 in-house review response center, right? Making sure that nothing ever slips through the cracks, whether it's during the school day and whoever's responsible for seeing or getting any of those alerts or those tips that come through. We know everybody's busy and nobody's just walking around staring at their devices, or at least shouldn't be. And so, leave that to us, right? Leave that to Lightspeed Alert, leave that to StopIt. And our response team is very aware and on top of it. Our SLA is under 2 minutes. We review every tip. So week over week, we average about 30 or 40 seconds. And so when something comes in of an imminent threat related tip, we're on it. We're calling an escalation path at the district. We're letting law enforcement know if needed of the situation, and that is one of the key critical points that separates, Lightspeed Alert and StopIt from having a Google form or having somebody just manually crawling some of these devices or looking out for alerts. And it is one of the key components, if not the key component, of these platforms is really to have that human review and double pass review.
That's right. Well, I think StopIt is such a robust solution. Maybe, once again, we're going to do some high level kind of overview of what these solutions are looking to accomplish and a little bit of how they work. But maybe start with StopIt. What does this include? What are you able to do with this solution? How can you leverage it?
Perfect. Well, there's three main pieces to the program. What we really aim to teach your kids that are using the platform and or families, if you'd like, is really to have this be a one-stop shop place for them to go to get help, right? And help kind of is broad and it looks different for everybody depending on what they're going through. But really, if it is school safety related, if it is mental health related, having that anonymous support reporting capability through the platform for them to outreach to school administrators, to folks at school where they feel comfortable, letting them know what is either happening with themselves or with somebody else so that you can get in front of that right there. That anonymous reporting has full two-way communication back and forth. So you're never getting a half tip that comes in. You're always able to go back to that device, aka that student, and have that conversation. Get the who, what, when, where, why. Get where there are any witnesses. Or if it is mental health, have a counselor or somebody like that jump on and be able to have a conversation with a student while allowing them to remain anonymous. We also know when mental health issues escalate, they typically escalate outside of your care. Nights, holidays, weekends, summer breaks, things like that. So we've integrated with Crisis Text Line, which gives your students 24/7 access to highly trained crisis counselors. That's a national nonprofit organization, think like 988, but it's around any topic. It doesn't just have to be suicidal ideation. Students use this really to move from a hot place to a cool place, and typically it's 2 in the morning, right when your folks are at home with their families, hopefully sleeping. And then the third place to get help is a full resource library. So we'll work with you and your district to break this up into individual schools, surface resources, whether that's basic needs like pantry, shelters, clothing, food, or whether that's content. Maybe it's Bullying Awareness Month or Mental Health Awareness Month, and you want to get some different content and resources in front of your students and your families. And if you have community partners, right? If you partner with local mental health services, facilities, and so on, have all of those links, have all of those resources right in the program. So whether they want to report something to you, whether they need crisis support right now, or whether they're just looking for some resources and don't want to wave their hand and kind of admit to what they're going through at the moment, this really helps your families get the help they need in that situation while allowing you to be able to get in front of potential escalations and serious issues. For compliance reasons, this is fully SOC 2. We are HIPAA, FERPA, and COPA compliant, as well as making sure that everything is fully housed for you and served on our server, so you don't have to worry about that integration, that implementation with the program itself. So again, fully comprehensive, anonymous reporting, crisis care, and resources. Scott?
Yeah, great. I mean, it's such a important service to be able to have and be able to provide. And once again, being available through the insurance risk good members is really fantastic. So Lightspeed Alert. So let's kind of talk a little bit about this. There's some things that are some really big differentiators for us and how we work and what we do. You know, having something on that device really, and a district-owned asset, really protects the district and really gives them the ability to see and to understand what's happening. And there's some integrations that are going on. They're really really important. So whether you be a Google environment or a Microsoft environment, our integrations work directly in with those. And so that means we are going to be able to see into your Microsoft, your O365 tenant, right? So we're looking at Docs and Drive and Google and email and Gmail, and same with the Microsoft environment. So whether they be in their own email or whether they be in Teams or anything like that, it really gives you some comprehensive coverage into your suite. So whatever they're doing, wherever they're typing into there, we're able to see it, notify on it, identify the core elements of what that alert should be. There are 6 different categories around self-harm, violence, inappropriate, kind of materials as well. But it just kind of really goes into a lot of different elements of what we're able to see, bullying, all of that. So all the things that are concerns of the districts are the type of elements that we're notifying on, different categories that we're looking at. But one of the more important things that we do that a lot of solutions do not is that we also have an agent side element. And so while kids may be looking at things in their through the integrations between Microsoft and Google, they might be doing things in their Docs, their Drive, or their email. But what they're doing on the web is over 60%, 50% really, it's the number that we use. But in our human review element team that's looking at this, we are finding most of our critical threats are coming when they are not within those integrated platforms. When they're just out on the web, they're maybe in a different forum, or they're in something like that, or a collaboration tool that's even just an educational collaboration tool that kids can jump into and talk back and forth. And those are unmoderated. Those are unlooked at by those platforms. And so we surface all of that. So think of it this way. In a lot of solutions, if you're just doing the integrations with your Microsoft or your Google tenant, it's like putting a lock on your front door and leaving your back door wide open. If you don't have an element to see everything outside of that they're doing on the web, then you're really only getting half the picture, and kind of this false sense of well, yeah, we've got it covered. We can see everything. Yeah, we can see what they're doing in their email and Gmail. Some of these kids are smart, especially your older ones. They know when those solutions are in place, and they might do some of that communication and with other students, or even if they're on their device and they're communicating with someone who's not a student in your environment. Really important on a different platform of some kind. We are able to see that with our integrations and also our smart agents. And so, whether it be in Canva, whether it be in YouTube, looking at the videos that they've watched or things that they're doing in there, or any social media platforms, if you're allowing that, we have a really large sense of visibility and what they're doing all across the devices. So the things that really separate Lightspeed is the in-house human review element. So these are not call centers. These are not people that we've hired or that are outside the United States that just kind of call and process through these. They are all Lightspeed employees. They're all in-house with backgrounds in law enforcement, mental health, and education. And the purpose of the human review team is to reduce the administrative burden. So think of it as an extension of your crisis team, of your student safety or student services team, that that they are able to look at these for you and bring to light the issues that you need to look at. And you can really tune our solution to what categories and what levels that you want to get these kind of alerts from, and really let the human review team do most of that heavy lifting for you. And the other great part about it, kind of jumping 2 slides over, is the reducing the false positives because of how the AI works and the way we are scanning these. And then having the in-house human review team, you have the option to give them the ability to close out no-risk, non-risk cases. So, lots of times it's schoolwork, it's suicide prevention month, right? Or it's To Kill a Mockingbird. And a lot of solutions will just throw a lot of false positive based on just keywords that might pop into the solution. That becomes a burden for your team that's looking at that. So what we want to do is reduce that level of false positives and really bring more context in, bringing to light what's really important and what's critical issues. So we're looking at just, some our highest level, and then we have our mid-level, and we have 3 different levels of escalation. So one is just things that might go into the interface that you choose to see that are just, kids saying stuff, things that are really not of great threat, but just maybe against your AUP and an opportunity to kind of talk to these kids about acceptable use. But then we have the ones where, if we see something that needs to be looked at, right, that's going to be an email that goes out to your people on your escalation list at the site-based levels or district level, however you want to have that set up. And the third level is really going to be that email and that phone call, right, from the human review team saying, we've identified something that is very time sensitive. And here's the context of it. Here's the screen capture of it. And so they're working together with you to bring forward what's really important. So the context over content, right? A lot of people will look at these solutions and go, well, I get more alerts from, we want more alerts, or we get so many alerts from these people. I hear that all the time. It's just a burden for us. So we want to provide context over content, right? It's not we don't want to just alert on every little keyword that comes in. A lot of these kids use vernaculars, like my daughter, for example, I look through her text, it's like, KMS, right? And she's not a kid of risk of that. But if we saw something beyond that, right, that's what we want to be notified, want to be sure of. And then also as people are starting to adopt more AI tools like Gemini, which we integrate in with Google, is that it adds tracking, reporting, and real-time escalation and concerning AI prompts. And even things that are not Gemini, we still will see those prompts once those go in, if they make those. But really, there's an integration directly in with Gemini. So if we're able to see that, even if those kids make that prompt and what it returns, or they don't even finish that prompt, we're able to notify on those. So there's going to be some early pricing for this available through June. So the pricing that we have set on this right now is through June is the for districts 10,000 seats and under. So one, up to $99.99 is going to be at $325, and then the districts that are over 10,000 seats, it's $2.75. So we want to keep this affordable. With the reimbursement, really reduces the overhead and the cost of this. So we want to kind of right here on this QR code, we're going to be following up with anyone who attended the webinar today, and our goal is to really kind of give you a high level. We know that there's lots of questions. You could have lots of people involved in your student services team or student safety team. We would love to schedule a demo with you, kind of go through the platform, answer your questions, really look at what the interface looks like, what do we bring to light, the usability of it, the clarity of it. And so we'd really love the opportunity to set up something really specific for your district and have a little bit more in-depth conversation. So scan that. We'd love to hear from you and have the opportunity to sit down, really get in depth about questions about differentiators on not only on pricing, but functionality, feature set, the way we handle everything. So we look forward to talking to you. Matt, thank you for joining us and really kind of giving us more information on the StopIt side of things. And we appreciate you guys all very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.